Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are here with another episode of Spriggan, episode 2. Last time on Spriggan, we're introduced to a bunch of characters. Actually, going into Spriggan, I thought it was going to be a half hour long series, but realizing that it's an hour long, so there was just a lot of information thrown at you for the duration of that hour about this organization that is safeguarding these artifacts all over the world that have the potential for world destruction from these civilizations that existed sometime in the past that, you know, destroyed themselves and for some odd reason decided to leave these dangerous weapons here with a message that says, do not repeat our mistakes. So why did you leave them here? But it was a fun episode. Our lead character that we'll be following, I think Amine Yu, I think is his name, and we're introduced to his childhood friend, the professor. I don't recall her name, but I'm not sure she'll be returning since she left at the end of the episode. The anime did fall into a few of the the typical tropes that I'm not the biggest fan of. One, they're both 16, and of course there's the attractive childhood friend that he will have to consistently save, again, usually a female. So not my, those are a few of the things that are just not my favorite when it comes to anime. And I would like to see anime, update for the current time that we're in. I mentioned that this would have come out around the time when I was developing an interest in anime, or at the time when I did see it, it would have been out for a few years, and that would have been things like Ghost in the Shell and Armitage and stuff like that, which did the opposite of the damsel in distress thing. So I'm curious to see how this will unfold. His friend is no longer a part of the story, at least as far as the last episode, but I imagine we will see her again. Since they did need her to translate some ancient script. I'm hoping, I hope so, because they've established that they are teenagers. I don't know if this is his full-time thing or if there'll be school, whether he'll have some school activities and stuff like that, which again falls in line with the typical tropes, which I guess I understand why they're doing that, because it does have a wider appeal in terms of anime fandom, but I do think a lot of other stories that go outside of that norm are well received as well. Dragon Ball Z didn't have any slice of life school activities and stuff like that in it, and that was still pretty popular. So yeah, but this is a different story entirely, and I'm curious, at the very least, with the artifacts and the mystery surrounding this ancient civilization. That's the part that intrigues me the most at the moment. I still don't trust the organization that we actually work for in terms of what they're hoping to accomplish. There's always someone who's looking to gain something. So I'm waiting for the ball to drop, and his boss seems to be cool. The bald guy, he seems to be pretty cool, but I wonder whether both he and you are just naive, thinking that they're working to save the world when there's a bigger picture that they're just not aware of as yet. So yeah, I'm intrigued enough by the story to continue watching it. So it's 6 episodes, so let's get into it. Oh, they found it. Is this an accidental find, or just a team that's hiking, or are these guys looking for it? Nope. Okay. All right, they're here looking for it. All right, so we are going to school, which I don't imagine we're going to be spending a whole lot of time here, so I might not mind this.
ゲームだよゲーム朝までやってたの本当かおみなえ悪い遊びしてんじゃねえのちげえとにかく
Why do they always paint the class presidents in anime as kind of ditzy and unimpressive?
あれ明日は無理みてえだ
So he only does this on weekends?
放課後の補習サボる気野暮用ができたすまんまた今度
Yeah, that's not unusual at all. It's just one of the things that I do like about this is that I think we're going to be going to different locations, and you know that keeps things a bit interesting. I have to say, one of the things I didn't like about the last episode was with how much ease they were able to subdue the last relic. Just okay, we have the staff that this guy supposedly had. Considering how difficult it was to access it and gain the power to begin with, I just wanted a bit more, you know, I don't think it needed to end as quickly as it did. They could have continued that story here and just wrap it up a bit more neatly. New characters. It's not from the team that we met last episode.
オリハルコンのファイティングナイフだ。お前さんの注文通りナックルガードもつけておいた。
すげえ。
本来オリハルコン。
So is this the guy that provides him with his weapons?
ワイヤーアンカー付きのアームパッドです。超高性能モーター内蔵で、人に3人分程度の重量なら引っ張り上げることも可能ですよ。
へえ、こりゃ面白いや。
Could have been useful in the last episode. A friend of his. Did see a guy in the opening credits, standing or sitting alongside him. That kind of fits that description. So maybe a teammate. Okay, United States again. Why are the people on Ark's team so bad at their job, though? Arkham, whatever their name is. They're getting mowed down. I don't know. Yeah. Fat man. Spriggan. Sound like you're having a little too much fun. And I didn't think the hummingbird guy should have died as easily as he did, considering how fast he was. Oh, new weapon. It sure is convenient that he got these new weapons just for this occasion. It's also made of Arkham. Yeah. I was wondering why does Arkham only have access to it? Huh? What's that? The other guy said a friend of his, so he must know who he is. Jackamundo.
Spriggan.
sure he's fine. Man, this guy talks a lot. What's his specialty, I wonder? Besides the shotgun. Oh. Fast. So he's using the same body armor that you is, I guess. Hey, you could just disarm him. Not anymore. There must be more to him than just his speed. So he's definitely faster than you is. Faster than this guy, obviously. I'm guessing he's a bit more ruthless. Yeah. I like him. Alright, I think he's done here as well. So the knife can cut through it. Really? They're all your friends. Something tells me he's gonna be losing a lot of friends throughout this show, if that's the case. Didn't hesitate. Thank God help showed up because he was not going to beat both of them at the same time. Why? Yeah, I figured he wasn't trying to kill anyone. Big softy. I don't think this guy will hesitate to kill you. Yeah, didn't think so. Brutal. So they were just pawns. Probably will. Foreshadowing. How they? I was wondering the same thing from the last episode. I mean, these things can't be destroyed. How are they safeguarding them? I think in the last episode they just deactivated it with the staff, but does that just mean someone can just get the staff again and reawaken it? No. Alright, these are more of Omni's friends. Because they're all pretty much useless. Why would you take this job, man? They've been dying for 2 episodes. They have no weapon to use against these more powerful enemies. Surely, if they can develop the armor for you and the knife and all these things, that they can give the other military personnel or Calcom bullets or something that they can use and be a bit more effective with. Ouch, damn. Alright. I don't think fists are gonna work here. But he can do it anyway, he doesn't need you to surrender. Alright, so they're familiar with each other.
ご同行願います。
There's no reason he needs to keep his word, though. I'm just saying, can just still kill them all. Where's his blonde friend? Oh, there he is. So where was he? They always enter when everyone else is dead. I don't know if he'd be able to stand up against the kid either. I don't think. Although, while he was being strangled, you know, his eyes started to shine bright red, as though maybe they will develop some other abilities. I don't know how though. I mean, he's probably wearing the armor, but or he should be, shouldn't he? How do you miss them? I doubt that's it for him. I don't know how he'll survive it, but huh. Alright, so I guess it makes sense that when he was approaching near death, that he transformed into something else. But is he in control? Or is he just in berserk mode? A werewolf? So what are you? Which one are you? Alright, so he's not in control. Alright, so we've got werewolves now. Okay. So what is you? Because when he was being strangled and near death, he was, you know, it seemed as though he was about to transform. I mean, just judging from his eyes. So this ancient civilization wrote down instructions on how to operate it. But they also say don't use it. He's not saying destruction. Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Fresh new start. So wipe out humanity? You just met them. Why would they agree to any of this? Why would you even want them to aid you? Why did he even take her with him? Is what they're making some questionable decisions. There must be some weakness to his powers though. Maybe if he uses it too much. It's the Ark. So why would the US send this kid who just wants to destroy everything? No supervision, no one to ensure that he has their own benefit, you know, at hand. It's just okay, just go and do whatever it is that you want to do. And what happened to their objective, whatever that might be. Don't you why does he need the doctor? I'm not clear on that. I'll probably need to go back and check. Seems like it would make a lot more sense if he stayed and helped him fight this kid. There goes one arm.
これ以上神の部屋が君の血で汚れるのは耐えられません。
神の部屋だって。この部屋のどこに神様がいるってんだよ。
Oh.
やはり君は何も分かっていない。たとえノアを発動させなくても、遅かれ早かれ人間は自らの手で地球を滅ぼします。
Fair enough.
それも二度と回復できない姿
You
に。
could just use the arc to solve all those problems. And you are human, so aren't any different.
俺には大事な場所や友達や仲間がたくさんいるんだよ。
友達？仲間？この時代にそんなものは存在しませんよ。
Oh, said something that tricked him. Yeah, I knew there had to be a limit, so you can't just use it over and over again.
終わってねえぞ。
黙れ！僕は神だ。今愚かな人間どもを抹殺しないと手遅れになるんだ。
Overused it.
本当てめえも分かってんだろ。神様なんて罪から逃れるための言い訳だって。俺たち人間の未来は俺たち人間が決めんだよ。
So this was just a way for him to end it all? He was warned about his recklessness and being too soft. Interesting. So it's not the material that the artifacts are made from that makes them, you know, invulnerable. It's just something surrounding it, some form of energy or something like that. Because everything is falling apart now. I like Jean. Don't worry, they're alive. Shock and awe. All right, episode 2 of Spriggan. I'm still trying to put together how exactly I feel about this anime. It does so many things that I like, but then on the other side of things, it does a few things that, you know, are somewhat questionable, right? I feel as though it's trying to make every episode contained. You know, we find the artifacts, someone shows up to stop us, we kill them, and then we move on to the next one. But I feel like that wasn't. I feel like it's a bit unnecessary to try to make it so episodic. You know, I mean, it's a binge model, right? And so they could just have the story that extends throughout multiple episodes. And I think they're doing themselves a disservice by doing that, because in the last episode, the villain that we were introduced to, right, when he showed up, the one that used wind pressure, I don't remember his name, but when he first came on the scene, you know, you was no match for him. He was it was obviously much faster than you was, but then by the end of the episode, somehow you was able to match speed with him enough to just kill him in one go. He fell in the lava and that's it. I feel that was completely unnecessary. They could have carried over that villain, instead of introducing a new villain each episode only to just kill them off, especially when some of them are quite interesting. I like this kid here. I don't know how he's a colonel, but I like the kid here. If only his philosophy in that, okay, yeah, humanity's we can use Noah's Ark to solve all of humanity's current problems, but as long as humans are still here, they'll just keep doing the same thing over and over again. There's a flaw in his argument, because I don't think I don't think the Ark's power is limited. You know, even if humanity does repeat the same problems, you could keep fixing it. But his solution is just wipe out humanity altogether. So he could have been a villain that they kept around rather than, you know, him just offing himself at the end here. And I'm not a huge fan of villains who get talked to death, which is basically what happened here. You know, he could have killed you at any moment, but he just kept listening to what he was spouting and overused his powers. Of course, there is a question of why the United States would just send, which is in effect, he's a weapon, right? This kid here, he is a weapon. Why they would just send their weapon unsupervised with no way to control him. I'm sure they have their own objective, which is to make the US, you know, the superpower with, you know, whatever abilities the Ark has to offer. And if that was their objective, why would they send this experimental weapon to the location? There's no way of controlling or knowing what is happening. You know, they're not, it seems a bit, you know, silly to me to do that. It could be, of course, that maybe he was playing the part, and, you know, they trained it into him to make their objective number one. And then when he got there, you know, he revealed his true purpose, which is not to do as he's been trained and commanded to do, but to wipe out humanity. That could be it. But I feel they don't need to kill off a lot of these villains, especially not the more interesting ones. I think the villain from the last episode, the guy that used the wind powers, I thought he could have stuck around, especially with the introduction of Jean in this episode. I think that would have been an excellent fight, because their abilities, in terms of their speed, they're quite similar. And with you getting his ass beaten in the first half of this, you know, it could be that that guy from episode 1 showed up and he and Jean would go up against each other, and then you could kill him or something, you know, because they're fighting for the same country. I think that guy was from the US as well. The big guy from episode 1 was from Russia, so that guy was also from the US. So the US keeps pumping out these super soldiers, and they just keep killing them off in each episode. So I think it does itself a disservice by not just trying to tell a continuous story and trying to wrap up each episode and making it episodic, when I don't think it needs to be episodic. In terms of the arc, the weapons, that is fine. You know, we can move from location to location and look at these things, but you can carry characters over from different episodes, not outside of just the protagonist, right? I don't think it's necessary to just keep killing off the villains. I think it helps the story when there's an antagonist that you can focus on, and you don't have to keep that person for the entirety of the season, but, you know, make the villains last a bit longer than just one episode. That's my main gripe so far. But yeah, we were introduced to Jean this episode, which was a highlight for me. I quite like his character, probably a bit more than you, because and I'm hoping, I don't know how old Jean is, maybe he's a kid too, and that's something that they presented to us at the start of this episode, is that there is going to be some school life mixed into it. And as I said, I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, slice of life anime and that sort of thing. It's just not for me. So I don't care for it, but if you only have it in small doses like we did in this episode, you know, it's not the focus of the episode, then I don't mind it, you know, as long as it's not something that we spend an entire episode on. Like Code Geass, right? Where, as much as I love that anime, you know, I love Code Geass, but we spent far too much time on doing school activities. That was my least favorite thing about it. I loved when Lelouch was, you know, outside of the school doing all these amazing things, but when we got to the school, I'm like, yeah. And when the activities in the school contributed to the larger story, like when, you know, Lelouch had his memories erased and they placed him back at the school, you know, and they were keeping a watchful eye over him to ensure that he didn't go back to being zero. When it's tied to the story, I don't have a problem with it, but when we're doing the giant pizza episode and stuff like that that has no relevance to the story at all. I'm just not for me. So yeah, but Jean, I do like. He's definitely a bit more ruthless than you is. No mercy, which makes sense because this is the job that you're in. But it's funny because he says that the guy killed all his friends. I'm like, I think you're gonna be losing a lot of friends throughout this show because Arkham security really suck. They are horrible. From the very first episode, the professor that was staying in the hotel, her guards that got killed easily at the door, the ones that were supposed to be guarding that artifact at the volcano, the ones here, they are not equipped. They are not well equipped to fight these villains. But Arkham still, continuously puts them on the front line. Why don't you just take a Spriggan, ensure that there's a Spriggan on location to save some lives. I feel like they're just throwing these men's lives away. But they seem to be able to recoup the numbers each episode. And that's going to be a running gag for me if they keep doing it because these men are poorly trained. And I don't think it's if they have enough orichalcum to make all these amazing weapons, surely they can equip the soldiers, the guards, the survey team. They can equip them with some body armor or some weapons that can do a lot better against these villains, but nope, they're just there to be slaughtered. This is interesting about Jean though, about Jean. He's obviously he's lycanthropy, but he's a werewolf. That's basically what it is. So I'm wondering now. Initially, I thought maybe he was wearing a body armor similar to you. But then he got shot, and I think Yu's armor does protect him to some extent from bullets. So he got shot in the back, which tells me that it's not the armor that he's wearing. He's just, it's just that he's a werewolf, and that's why he's much faster. And has regenerative abilities. So I guess they're very different. But is there something special about you as well? Because in this episode, he was being strangled by that guy, not Fat Man, the other one. And as he neared death, his eyes started to glow red. So I'm wondering, there is something special about him that he's not aware of himself, or maybe he is aware of it, but chooses not to use it. Maybe he doesn't like not being able to control it, or whatever the case might be. But I suspect there's going to be a transformation in his future at some point. Whether he'll be a werewolf as well, I'm not sure. The fact that we're introducing supernatural elements into this now is very interesting. But Noah's Ark, I definitely enjoyed this episode more than the last one. Some of the themes are the same, when they talked about Noah's Ark, and essentially them using using existing lore. And I know lore is an odd word to use to refer to something that's in the scriptures of the Bible, but that is, it is in effect what it is. We have no basis to support what the events of the Bible, so it's technically kind of fiction. So it's interesting that they use lore that already exists and kind of puts their own spin on that. And these creatures that were in the Ark, that were just experimentations to create, the new life. I thought that was very interesting. So it wasn't, it was kind of a fresh start for, as far as God was concerned, whoever it is was in the Ark. Just to kind of restart, what he created, get rid of the humans, create some new ones, and we're quickly approaching the time again. We're quickly approaching that time again where we're screwing things up. So that might be the future. So yeah, it was an interesting discussion between the kid and you. You, of course, in many of these stories, I tend to side more with the villains than I do with the protagonist, because in this idea that, yeah, my friends are here, so therefore that means I can't let this happen. Yeah, your friends are gonna die regardless. You know, if there's some action that needs to be taken, that means that a few, maybe includes your friends, have to go. Then you know, that's technically what he's doing at Arkham. You know, he's losing people here, but for the greater good. So even though he says he doesn't care about any of that, that's precisely what he's fighting for. He's doing the same thing that this kid is doing, just in a roundabout way. You know, he's not leaving it up to humanity, because if he decided to leave it up to humanity, then Arkham wouldn't exist. You just let things unfold as they would, you know. But he's not doing that. He's fighting against what is actually happening to protect people. So yeah, I found myself siding more with the villain on this one, although I don't think he needed to go the genocide route. If you have a weapon that can terraform the earth and solve all these problems, then why go to the extreme to destruction? You know, just fix the problems. Yeah, there are gonna be some shitty humans that do horrible things because it doesn't affect them personally, but you know, yeah. And of course, this kid himself has probably gone through several experimentations. He said it was purely created for the arc, so you kind of understand why he feels the way he does, and you know, wants to rid the earth of humanity, so to speak. So made a lot of sense. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Probably my favorite so far. I'm liking Jean. I guess I'm hoping we'll see more of him. Hopefully we'll see more of him. And it's good to see that they have a good relationship. You know, it's easy to go the route of, you know, Naruto and Sasuke, where, you know, this character wants to be friends with the other one, but no, you know, he has to be that brooding character that, you know, he likes the protagonist, but he won't say that, you know, because he's too cool for that. It's easy to go that route, but I like what they've done here. Is that okay? Yeah, that's one of the things I like about you, that you're a big softie, you know, and it works well together. You know, they balance each other out. Jean is too brutal, and he was there to balance him as well. So I think they work well together. I was a bit unclear as to why. Yeah, there were some questionable decisions made with the doctor who gave you his equipment, and why he went with the kid in the first place, knowing I don't think the kid needed him to operate the arc, and why the kid offered him an olive branch, so to speak, to help him. You know, I was just a bit unclear on that. Maybe I missed something throughout the episode as far as their relationship goes. So I'll go back and watch that scene and see if I missed anything. But overall, I like the story. I like the play on the arc itself, and you know what its purpose is in this. And you know, much like the villains that I mentioned, I think they could just continue some of these villains in other episodes. I think the same can be said for the artifacts as well, because I feel we're just running through artifacts and just, okay, the power is released, and then we conveniently have something in place at that immediate moment to shut it down. I would have much preferred if some of the arcs for this series had long-standing effects throughout multiple episodes, and it takes some time for them to solve the problem, versus just conveniently having a plot device present in an episode to fix the problem. So I think that's the thing it suffers from the most, is the rushed story in trying to close out each episode rather than having a continuously flowing storyline. I think, yeah, that's my biggest problem with it, dude. And that affects both the villains and the artifacts as well. I think they could just, instead of, I'm hoping we don't have 6 different artifacts, but it's looking like that might be the case for each episode. So instead of having 6 artifacts, they could have 3, and then each, you know, for each episode, the artifact carries over into the second episode, and you know, they figure things out a bit more organically rather than just having something conveniently in place in that episode to solve the problem. That would have been much more enjoyable to me. But yeah, that's it. Another fun episode for Spriggan. Looking forward to the next. Alright guys, be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode of Spriggan. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.